meeting to order 7:04, and just for attendance purposes, as I always do, just a roll call. So Carrie Hurley
here,
Dr. Miranda
here,
Mike Zulus here, Scott Tereshak here, and Sean O'Rourke here. So first thing we have, second thing we have on our agenda is citizen speak. We allow 15 minutes of our meeting with 3 minutes per speaker. We ask if you are here to speak, you just raise your hand. You'll be recognized, and we ask you just state your name and your address. So we'll give it a minute and just check to see if anybody is here for citizen speak. Seeing none. All right, perfect. Next on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes. So I sent out the minutes for September 25th. September. Let's see. Sorry, I thought Sean Burke was trying to get on. I sent out meeting minutes for September 25th, September 29th, October 16th, and November 13th, which will basically bring us up to date. On the agenda, we did have September 12th, but when I reviewed this, the September 25th meeting, we actually approved those minutes at that meeting, and they're posted online. So just check to see if everybody had a chance to review those.
I did not attend the 25th or the 29th.
Correct. I had you, I went through, I made a list ahead of time of who was absent just for the voting purposes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mike, I think you were down for the last two meetings. You were
Yeah.
available. So
I don't know what happened to me. 16th and 13th.
busy man.
Or lazy.
So with that, with obviously abstentions for people that are absent, I'll entertain any motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the minutes from September 25th and September 29th.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the ones from the 16th and October 16th and November 13th.
okay, so two different motions. So we have to take two different
We need
votes.
two different.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably just.
So let's just have you second Mike's.
Sure.
If that works. All right. And then we'll take I guess, we're in person.
Second, Scott,
What's
or
up?
are you doing one?
We're doing.
Do you want me to make a motion to approve all
No,
meeting
no,
minutes? Because I was in
Nope.
there for all of
We've
them.
got one motion on the floor, so it's for the September minutes. Mike couldn't make the motion with the other ones because he wasn't here. So Scott seconded. So all those in favor, because we're in person, let's raise our hands. Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Aye. Perfect. And now a motion for the October and the November minutes.
Clarification, actually, if it's abstaining for one of the two,
Yep.
so abstaining for the 29.
Yep. For the one that you were not present.
Correct.
Yep. All right. And then basically we just need a motion for the October and the November minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 10:16 and 11:13. Did you say?
Yep.
Yeah.
I second.
And again, all those in favor? Aye.
And I'll
Perfect.
abstain.
Mike abstains.
But Mark Warren just raised his hand.
Good.
Hey everyone,
Hey, Mark, how are you?
doing well. My apologies if I'm the only one remote. I'm gonna ruin the good vibes of just having to raise your hand for a vote. Now we got to do a roll call. Sorry.
It's all good. So we were just getting through approving the minutes. So you probably heard that. I apologize. I didn't see you in the waiting room.
No problem.
Okay. So on to essentially old business for that portion or item for the agenda. So under old business, we always have a number of different items under there. They're just kind of historic ones. So the first one is the SBC project timeline. For me right now, I don't have an update on that other than to say we're kind of just on track for everything that we're doing. Our onus project manager is onboarded. And the last meeting we had, I was gonna update this, but I was waiting to update it until we got the updated dates for the architectural RFS that we'll be talking about later in the agenda. So once we get those dates for the architectural RFS, I'll repopulate everything so we can kind of track it over our next couple meetings that we're having. So essentially with that, I'll see if anybody has any questions or comments. See if he chimes in. Right. Second thing, item 4B, discussion update, contract with PMA consultants. So we've executed the contract with PMA consultants because of my scheduling snafu this week. I am handing over all scheduling duties, minutes duties, and everything to our OPM. I've already talked to Sean about it. So he's going to start reaching out to everybody, coordinating when meetings are, get it on a little more a better schedule, take the minutes, publish everything, basically alleviate that. So I don't have to be bothering you guys through text. But essentially for that agenda item for a contract update, any questions, comments, anything? All right. Item 4C, the SBC funding article. So town meeting starts Monday, December 4th, next Monday. So we have our article in place for that. My anticipation is it probably won't happen on that Monday night, but the following Monday night for the second night of town meeting is probably when I'm anticipating it going. So it's basically just regurgitating the presentation that I did previously for it, and you know, basically putting that forward. So you know, for us right now, the articles a dollar value of 400,000 that we have on there as the ask. So that's basically our plan with that. So for item 4C, to see if there's any comments or questions. Pretty straightforward that we've done that stuff.
You have the presentation, we're gonna get the presentation, you're all set to go.
Correct. Yeah, I'm just utilize the same presentation I had from before. Yeah. Yeah. Item 4D, discussion, possible vote, land swap alternative analysis. So this is the alternative analysis that we needed to do for EEA as part of our, so we have essentially a deliverable to them that's going to consist of this land alternatives analysis for everything that's there. I sent out an initial draft of it a couple months ago. I don't have the final draft ready, so it's not ready for a vote right now. But that coupled with the what do they call it, the appraisals and the special legislation is basically we're going to gather all that stuff up and they'll be part of our submittal to EEA.
Has the appraisal come back yet?
Not that I've heard. So I know Nick had executed the contract to get that done, but I haven't heard anything. But I'll check on that.
I think they're making inquiries today. I heard they're making inquiries today, and you know, they may have a report or two tomorrow.
Very good. So, you know, for those of you that got I get your comments that I have to still incorporate through there and stuff like that. But if anybody else has anything, feel free to send it on. Going quickly. So item 4E, which is discussion update, Mass School Building Authority. Again, I keep that on there just in case something pops up in the 48-hour window before we have the meeting, just so we have it. Nothing has come up, so we have not heard from MSBA. There is no planned site visit or anything like that. So as we know, in about 2 weeks on December 14th is when they make the decision. So we're kind of waiting patiently to hear back from them on that. All right. Item 4F, discussion, possible vote, architectural services for Gile Road. So there was the request for services. I think we sent it out previously, just kind of for in a draft view, so everybody can get a feel for it. I sent out before the meeting the kind of final version that was there. I think for most of what we're looking at trying to do for this, is one, look at the overall contract value that we want to allocate for this. The one that was sent out has numbers of 400 and 450,000. So I know when we looked through the budget that we have there, and I don't know if you want to talk about, that you looked at, Scott, for it. I don't recall those numbers off the top of my head of what the allocation are.
Yeah, when we plugged in 450 for architecture, that was leaving us about $10,000 left in the budget.
Yep.
So if we were to use 400,000 versus 450, it gives us a little bit more flexibility if there's changes for their scope or OPM or anything else. In that, we do have some projections for extra costs for land surveying and appraisals in case those go over. So I think those are covered, but it would just be for, any additional architectural services we might need or OPM services.
Yeah.
Or anything else that pops up.
Yep. All right. Understand.
Do you think we can get what we need at the $400,000 level?
I think it goes back and forth. So in talking with Sean Burke at PMA, the funding that we have, he thinks will get us by for some stuff. I think it falls on us as a committee to decide, do we want to, essentially spend everything that we have to go forward with it. And then have that, part of this plays out in my mind of, if we spend everything, call it 450,000, we only have 10,000 left. We'll hit sometime next fall and have $10,000 left at that point. That if we anticipate having to do anything between the fall and essentially the next town meeting in December, or fall and say the next annual town meeting, fall May in 2025, is that enough? So I think that's basically for us to kind of discuss a little bit here, to what number do we plug into that for? And there's nothing saying if we make it 400,000 for the architect, there's nothing, we can amend it later on if we see that, we see that fit too. Part of the discussion too is, if the architects, for example, need more money, is it something that we go back in May and ask for more money at that point too? If it's a much larger number than the 50,000 that we'd reserve or something like that. So, I guess we'll get a better feel for that as we start interviewing architects and bringing them on. But having that kind of set number is what we've talked about with Sean Burke at PMA. Rather than leaving it open-ended and just saying, what are you going to do for us? Have a set target, a budget for them, and say, we need you to work within that budget. So, and I'm fine with whatever number we come up with as a group. Oh yeah, Mark, sorry.
Just a question. Did Sean Burke have a opinion on 400 versus 450?
I think either number he thinks would be lighter. So for some of the architects that he's talked about or talked to, they would like to, I think, go a lot further than what we're anticipating as far as their design. I know a lot of them that he's talked to are very eager to get going on the project, but I remind him multiple occasions of, we only have a certain amount of set budget that we have to work within. So I want to be, conscious of that and, not spend too much. So with that, I think with that, we can make it work. But obviously if we had higher funding, we could kind of do a lot more with it. I don't know if that is-
Yeah, no, it's helpful. I mean, I guess my general thought is, what would we be saving the $50,000 for? There's kind of two lines of thinking. Like, one is the extra $50,000 really going to move the needle as it relates to an architect's desire to bid on the project or be able to give us within a scope of work everything we want? I don't know. But then I also weigh what are we saving the $50,000 for. If we approach something where we need more money, it's, as we say, probably going to be architecturally related. And so why not just put that in there to get the strongest possible proposal? And if we end up needing more money, as has been kind of discussed, it's very likely we'll need to then go back to the town and ask for more money in that situation, because the 450 from everything, you're saying that, Sean Burke is saying is light in our estimates, that would be enough to hopefully cover us, is maybe correct, but we might have missed the mark there. So I think I'm generally leaning towards saying we should put the full, or the 450 towards it. And I also don't know if we have, I guess the other question I have is our only option also to kind of just wait until May? Because I know one of the calculations we were doing as it related to asking for the extra 400,000 was the burn rate, and saying, we wanted enough funding in order to make sure we could keep this moving and that we weren't just going to be kind of sitting idle for several months. And so, is that all still kind of, is the OPM kind of confirmed that our thinking there is correct, and that we really should still be fine until we get to the Maytown meeting? Or is there something else we should be thinking about in terms of asking the town to amend the article, or to potentially look into calling a different town meeting and at some other point to make sure we're not in that situation? Those are the things I'm kind of just speaking as I'm thinking about things, but those are things that come to mind.
Yeah, so just some further commentary on there. So within the RFS, the services that we asked the architect to have readily available are outlined in there, which basically cover anything and everything. So your point of including that $50,000 in there, and if something were to come up, they should have the ability through whatever subcontractor they've teamed with to fulfill that. So that's just weighing in on, the idea of putting, the full 400, all 450,000 in there. The other part, for me, I'm looking at this just from my own profession, where you get a project and, for example, what we got here is a blank slate. So it's essentially an empty lot that, architect would be able to come in, start planning a school, lay out everything, and do the, full design of everything all the way there. So I can see why they'd want to be aggressive or eager to get going. And with that, they would spend as much as they needed to over that course. But if we're trying to just get them to understand that we need them to get to a point for us to accurately price this, to go after overall funding for the project, and then that overall, eagerness can get put to use after we get full funding to really run through and get into all the details of everything. I think that's what our ask is. So we're not asking them to run through and lay out the details of every room, draw, schedules for every door, every window and stuff like that. It's just more of to get this project to a better point so we can price it a little more accurately, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, we are trying to work on a shoestring budget and do as much as we can for as little as we can, to make sure we don't get over our skis and over design something that ultimately the town rejects. So I think that's a fiscally responsible strategy that you're coaching us on, Sean.
We included that full amount in the projected budget for the warrant, doing that.
Well, what happens is we have 275,000, and then the 400,000. Yeah, that was.
No, I mean in other words,
Sorry.
we're gonna be allocating the full amount less 10,000, right? We're gonna keep we'll have 10,000 left over.
Yeah, correct.
And that is, I think, is similar to what we had told the warrant committee in terms of our burn rate and our projected budget.
Yeah,
We're using it all, right?
yeah. What happened was we even when we did that analysis that was there, we held certain money back for For example, if we had to survey all the additional parcels up on Randolph Ave, there was additional stuff that
Well,
EDA.
we have those, right?
Yeah, that's
Those are set.
so our overall budget, those are set back.
Right,
Similar for the appraisal services, you know. We did those and we had money set aside for those. So
Right.
with the money remaining, call it $460,000 roughly.
right,
That's what we're looking for. How much of that do we want to allocate?
right, and
Yeah,
that was all projected to be used in the
Correct.
projection of the warrant committee,
Yeah,
and that's what the OPM is suggesting.
yep,
So, and that was what our projection was before, and now the OPM has kind of confirmed that, oh, it says it's a little light.
yeah,
So that, I guess that would argue in favor of, you know, of keeping consistent on this and following what sounds like is the OPM suggestion.
mhm. Yeah, in my end of, you know, the need for any additional services that may come up, that's why we're hiring the architect and their whole team to just address all those when you look at it. And if something comes in that's outside of that, I couldn't really imagine what, because, you know, we've got them looking at traffic studies, they will have civil engineers for stormwater analysis. Not sure.
I'm good with the 450 as well. So.
Yeah, and it's just the other way too, is like for the survey work that we have money allocated there, that survey work isn't guaranteed that we have to do it. We're just kind of keeping it there too. And if we don't have to do that, that would then fall back into, you know, a reserve fund for us if we wanted to do that. So if everybody's okay with 450,000, you know, I can let PMA just revise that document and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds right to me.
Sounds like an informal vote. We're just waiting for emotions.
So do we want to improve the RFS, or just?
Recommend it for
Yes,
select.
well, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of recommend the select board approve the request for services for an architect.
For
Second.
400.
The amount of 450,000.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? No? All right, so because Mark threw it all off, we'll do a roll call vote. Carrie Hurley,
Yes.
Selena Miranda,
Yes.
Mike Zulus.
Yes.
Scott Tereshak,
Yes.
Mark Loring,
Yes.
and Sean O'Rourke, yes. Perfect, we'll get that out and done.
I think that'll be on our select board agenda for Monday night,
Correct.
right before town meeting.
Yep. So the next one that we have on there for item 5 is future meeting dates. I didn't put anything on there right now, obviously with town meeting in the next couple of weeks and then the holidays following that. But with the schedule for the RFS of what we're doing with the architect, there might be a need for something between now and Christmas. So I'll let people know as we start diving into that. So essentially, Sean Burke will be in touch, so stay tuned. Any questions or anything like that? Or Monday's still a good night for everybody. I apologize about this week for the scheduling error.
Yeah. Can also be flexible knowing that the
Yeah,
town meeting is the next two
the
Mondays.
next 2 Mondays too, yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll be in touch about that. Yeah, so our last thing, item 6 is adjournment, so we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right. All right, roll call vote again, Carrie Hurley,
Yes.
Dr. Miranda,
Yes.
Mike Zulus,
Yes.
Scott Tereshak,
Yes.
Mark Loring,
Yes.
and Sean O'Rourke, yes. Excellent, thank
Only
you.
4-minute meeting. Pretty
Thank you
good.
very much. Have a good night.
Well done.
All right.
Thank you.